summit of. And even when I suffer and I'm down on my knees, I still believe that your hands within my reach. I still believe that your hands within my reach. Your mercies are new every morning, renewed. Your mercies.
What we're going to do is look at the warnings, but before we go to the warnings, we're on Monday, so we're going to move the story forward. Remember that Lot is in Sodom and Gomorrah, and it's what they've been carrying on with. We heard in fact, that's a bit later on when the angel of the Lord came, and so God speaks to Abram and says he's going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. Abram is thinking, but my family is there. But not just my family. There are people there that, although wickedness is taking place, there's some good people there. There's some people that are trying, but they're influenced by those around. So he says to God, and what I like is God says he's going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. Can someone just read Genesis 18:25? Because this sums up who God is, that he's a supreme judge. And it's a conversation that Abram is having with God. And I love the fact that Abram was able to talk to God at that level like a friend. Even though he was the almighty supreme God, he could still intercede and reason with him. So yes? Are we ready? Oh, have you got it there? Yes, please.
You know what I mean? That be far from thee to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked, and that the righteous should be as the wicked. That be far from thee. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right?
Yes, and in the Clear Bible, because that is obviously in the King James, almost Shakespearean, it is not like you to destroy innocent people in order to stop the wicked from sinning. It will be like you destroying the good with the bad. That's what he says to God. And then they start this conversation. If there is 50, and then they go down 45 to 10, because he's pleading with God and saying, come on, God, this isn't you. You don't behave this way. You don't annihilate and destroy. You are a loving God. You are a judge. You are a peacemaker. And I like the fact that that is set up, because I don't know if any of you have had situations at work, at home, family, where your tolerance is high. You're very, very good, and you keep forgiving and dismissing what people have done, and then after a while you can't take any more. And what goes through your head is you start to think about all these things that you want to do to your work colleagues for the way that they have treated you. But you have to pause, because God is in control. And I can almost imagine that God, for a moment, thought, what is wrong with these people? I am here for them time after time after time, and they don't want to know. And so for a moment, he was going to do, but we know that he's a just God and would always have been just. And it's good that Abraham could intercede. So intercession is really, really important. Just moving on, because the lesson in Monday talks about the holiness of God and a holy war. What is a holy war? And you hear the Muslims talk about a holy jihad, which is a holy war. What is a holy war in the context of the Bible?
Obviously we're talking about the spiritual war now. Now it's not just a physical war. You've got the war started in heaven when Lucifer turned against God, and eventually there was a battle in heaven. He was thrown out. But then the war has come to earth now. It's come to us. But it's still, we should not be fighting any wars without God's permission, in a sense. So it's fighting against people who are against God and not following His laws and statutes.
Yeah.
But if we do it from our own thing, like even what's going on with Israel now, you're thinking, are they really doing what's right? You know, because even when they're talking about a ceasefire now, they're still bombing the places and everything. So there's a lot of wrong things being done. It's God's war, not our war. So God gives us permission. We've got to get permission for God to go in and for this war.
And just before anyone else comes in to talk about a holy war, when you see, Pastor, when you see what is going on in Israel at the moment, remember the promise was made to Abraham. There was a covenant, but it was conditional. When you look in Deuteronomy, the promise was there, but we had to do, or they had to do certain things. If you obey me, if you serve me, if you do all of these things, I will. So the promise was conditional. Some of the children of Israel rejected God, and we can see that throughout history. And then the promised land was opened up to Gentiles, those who were not Jews, to non-believers who became believers, which makes me wonder, is the promised land still theirs? Makes me wonder. They're fighting for a land where they have disobeyed God, they haven't served Him. So does that promise still stand, or is it for all of God's children in the heavenly land? That's Pastor.
So when you look at the Old Testament and you look at these holy wars, and then you think, well, do any of the wars that happen today qualify to be in this category? Well, in the Bible, the holy wars there were two sets of people. Both people had an opportunity to know God.
Yes.
Both received messages from God and both received warnings. And one set refused and rejected God and repeatedly went away from Him, to such an extent that God described them as their cup was full. So then God used another nation who was more faithful, not completely,
Yes.
to send further warnings, and if they reject those warnings, and the warnings were sent through prophets, then the instruction was to remove them from their land.
Yeah.
What we see today is not about iniquity or transgression.
No.
It is a fight for natural resources
Yes.
and the fertile land.
Yes. And
Using
greed.
the word holy war as an excuse.
Yes. And Pastor is absolutely right. What is happening today is not a holy war. Everything that he has just said. And he wanted to restore the rule of law, which means that you need to stop the sinning and serve God and for there to be peace. But people didn't want to. Pastor, could you pass that? And both of you, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to reflect on what we are saying about the Canaanites, them worshipping idols, child sacrifice. Is it any different today?
Okay. So our brother is reflecting on the Canaanites worshipping idols, child sacrifice.
Yes.
Is it any different today?
And just to just add to that a little bit is because God sent messengers for these people to
Yes.
stop,
Yes.
and we have the messengers now. So what really God is saying also, because it wasn't just, the Bible wasn't written for them, because these people aren't dead really. So what God will do is what He did before. So when He comes back, anybody who is persisting in sin,
Absolutely.
whether we're having this view of God, this, God, the other, we can have this debate as long as we like, but God will do what He wants to do because
Yes.
He is just.
Yeah.
So when He comes back,
Yeah.
anybody not serving Him
Yeah.
will be exterminated.
Absolutely. And I love what you said, that these lessons that we have, the stories in the Bible, weren't just for those people. Many of them had died. It's for us looking back so that we can change. Hemson first and then pastors.
Maybe it's going
You're
to
going to do... All right.
Just to balance the character of God and understand his intentions, let us look at Nineveh.
Yes.
Nineveh was a wicked and idolatrous place that had slain the prophets and done great evil. And God was so displeased with them, he wasn't even going to use another nation to destroy them. God was going to destroy them himself. But as you see from the story of Jonah and Nineveh, God's intention was first to save them.
Yes.
And as it turned out, when they received the warning, they repented.
Yeah.
And so they were not destroyed.
Yeah.
And that's God's intention for everybody. We hear the warning, we recognize our condition, we humble ourselves, and are saved.
Absolutely. Hempson and then Phil, please.
Wow. I want to draw some lessons from the conversation that God had with Abraham concerning Sodom and Gomorrah. When Abraham was interceding for the city, what about if you find 50 people and then down to 10? Ines, you just say that, have you ever considered when, for example, you've given an example of artwork, and I'm imagining probably you're in the managerial position, but have you observed that the more you become so tolerant, that's even people take advantage of you being tolerant. It's just like children when your child does something and they don't get any punishment.
Yeah.
You come to the point, or they come to a point, or we come to a point, we say, well, he's going to forgive me anyway.
Yeah.
We need to be careful
Yeah.
if that's how we're going to be treating God.
Absolutely.
We need to be careful and examine it, because we will not know when God will say it's enough.
Absolutely.
And by the time he will say it's enough, maybe we'll think, we'll be so much conditioned that we'll think that he's bluffing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he will not be bluffing.
And it's interesting you say that as you pass the mic to Phil. When my nephew, Jordan, was 2, we used to go to my mother's, my sister Paula, Errol, Winston and I, we'd go for Sabbath lunch with my mum. And Jordan was a quiet little boy, but we could see he was very clever. So his parents would say, don't do that. And then while they were talking, he would turn around and he'd look and he'd look and he'd take one step at a time towards what they told him he shouldn't do. Wouldn't run to it, just very, very cautious and watching them and thinking, surely I'll get away with it. And by the time he got to where he wanted to go and get the thing, they said, look at him, isn't he so cute? And what they had said he shouldn't do turned in. So he knew that their tolerance level was at a certain, but he could take advantage, and he would do that as a child. And that's how we are with God. He tells us not to, and we're looking and creeping and we're crawling towards sin, and we think he's going to be okay. He's going to forgive us. That's what we think.
And as you know, God, in the lesson, certain cities they had to destroy. God said you had to burn it to the ground, destroy everything. But then other ones, God, showing God's mercy, he said, offer them peace first. Before you go, offer them peace.
All right, you're moving nicely into went to Tuesday. So you can hold on to the mic, because I want you to continue. But before you do that, what does it mean? So we've got the title disposition or annihilation. What does it mean to dispossess? Not in the big biblical text now, because it will apply. But what's your understanding of dispossession?
Is that when, the city you're going into, you take over possession, so it's not their possession anymore. So the building's already built for you, the vineyard's already there for you. They possess all that.
So the ownership transfers. Bailiffs. Well,
Bailiffs.
that yes.
Not quite the same.
The ownership is yours and it transfers to someone else. So when you look at the legal term, dispossession, that's what it means. It's passed on to someone else. What is annihilation?
Eradication.
What's eradication?
Total desolation. Wipe out.
Animals.
Yes.
End of the end of an era.
All right. And
Animals, everything, even the animals,
everything
all the
is
people, everything.
wiped out, destroyed. Did God want dispossession or annihilation? And you were moving into that direction.
God would like dispossession. He would like
Yeah.
people because he doesn't want any to perish.
No.
So they get the chance. But the ones he said destroy, they'd obviously had lots of chances, and God said those you have to destroy the whole thing, annihilate it.
Now, but before the annihilation took place, and you were moving in that direction, what would the children of Israel do before the annihilation took place?
They offer them peace.
Offered them
But
peace.
I wasn't sure on that. Did they offer peace to the ones where God did say annihilate? I didn't get that from the lesson. Is that, or did they just have to go straight and annihilate? I knew
God-
some he offered peace. Did he offer peace to all of them?
God did not want annihilation, and there are a number of texts that we're asked to read. Exodus 23, 28 to 30. I'd like you to make a note if you haven't got the lesson. Exodus 33, Numbers, Deuteronomy. So basically, when God was talking to Abraham, he mentioned that they are to take the land of Canaan. They are to possess. But he said, he didn't say, use the words annihilation. He said, I don't want everything destroyed at one time, because if it's destroyed, the locusts are they will have taken everything. Then you get all of the different animals. They will wipe out everything. There'll be nothing for you to do that. And it's going to take too long for you to possess the land. It's going to be gradual. It's going to be over time, so you can now possess the land. And then he said, what I want you to also do is go in and give them an opportunity, like the white flag, to surrender. And the surrendering is give your heart to God, serve God, and obey him. And if you want to do that, you're welcome. But if you don't want to do it, then sadly, destruction has to take place, because he's destroying sin. It wasn't just the people and the land. We've talked about idolatry, we've talked about sin, we've talked about the cosmic war that was taking place. This is what was happening. And if we look at some of the wars that taking place currently that are not, God doesn't favour what is going on with the wars, and there is no way that they can call them holy wars. But some of them will say you need to destroy the perpetrator, the terrorists. You need to destroy the region. You need to destroy their children, because if this doesn't happen, there's a danger they could rise up one generation after another and come back. God wasn't concerned about the rising up. He was concerned about the wickedness, the evil, the sin. And Phil has helped us to understand that. Why were so many destroyed in the land of Canaan?
I think, as it says, Deuteronomy mentions that. I think it's the first book. I don't know. The first part of the book says that he names all. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
He names all the different tribes: the Hittites, the Jebusites, the Canaanites, all these people, because those practiced idolatry.
Yeah.
And God's forbearance was come to an end. So now they needed to face the judgment, because they for so long continued in rebellion against God's will. So there's time now when their probation is closed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're going to go to Evroy and then we'll come to Phil. Thank you.
Yes, we know we're studying about Joshua and what's happened in the past. But what is the application for us today? God is merciful, is long-suffering, is willing that no one should perish, but all have eternal life, even for the church.
Yeah.
If we practice in sin, if we know what is right and do wrong, and God mercy keep on pleading to us to forsake, because as we know what's happening in heaven now, as he said to send on our sin, because the sin problem that Christ dealing now in heaven. So We need to search ourselves and see where we are, put away sin out of our life, because it's going to reach a time. We know the judgment hour is going on now, but it's going to reach a time and God's going to say, he that is just, let him be just still. His mercy no linger. The heaven, no prayer going to go up there. So now is the time. I always look on the application of the lesson for myself and the time that we live in. God is merciful. But if we take his mercy for granted, the result going to be ours.
Yes.
Because that is going to be your choice. But today, as we see the property scene going on around the world, we are called to tell the people to come back to the true way of living, the true way of serving God. But if they refuse, it's going to be their own fault. So let us examine ourselves and put this application to our life.
And Pastor, because the second bell has just gone.
If you look at sin and imagine it is like a cancer.
Yes.
Now, if you stab somebody, it is usually considered to be a grievous act of violence. But if you take a knife and cut somebody open, but yet a surgeon will cut somebody open and take out a part in order to save the rest of the body. And so when God looks at the bigger picture, he sees pockets of iniquity and huge influence that would spread.
Yes.
So God, in his wisdom, he said, I have to cut this out to save the rest. And so God starts with us, said, there's sin in you, let me take it out to save you. But if you don't take it out, God will have to take you out to save others, because God is in the saving business.
He is, and he gave them the freedom of choice to serve him, and before they were destroyed. But what would then happen? You would have some of them that would rush to the city of refuge. So in war, you could not attack the city of refuge. That was the area where you were protected. But these were the people that were continuing in their idolatry, in their wickedness, and just like Pharaoh, their hearts were hardened. Probation had closed for them. So there was no way that God could allow this to happen. We've got Phil first and then Hempson.
It was interesting when you say about all the abominations going on, but the Bible also say they defiled the land. So it was the people, and the whole land was defiled. That's probably the ones he said destroy that totally, start from scratch again, and say, a bit like the flood, start from scratch again in those areas.
Yeah.
So we think that God's idea, the original idea, was not annihilation, but dispossession. What do we want as individuals, as we live in these days? Do we want to be dispossessed, or do we want to be annihilated? We can be dispossessed because God is preparing, a beautiful place for us, but we can also be annihilated if we don't follow his ways.
Absolutely, and that is what, Sister Spalding, that is what it's all about for us, our service to God.
When I look through the lesson, that is why God did not destroy Satan and the angel that he threw out from heaven at the same time. That's why they prevail until today, because that is an example of what is going on the earth today, that the angels that are is with God in heaven now can see what Satan's ambition was like.
Yes.
So,
yes.
So today we have a second chance.
And it's not just second, we have third and fourth and fifth and sixth and seventh. The mic over there, God is constantly.
It's just a question. Some people would say, looking at what we've just discussed, then, okay, well, why didn't God just stop it all in heaven, destroy Satan in heaven, because he got thrown to earth? That's caused all the trouble for us guys. Couldn't we just have finished it in heaven? That's the question people would ask.
And what would your answer be, Gavin? Gavin, you've got to speak. Yeah.
God is vindicating his name and showing the world that he's a just and fair God, and he's a holy God. That's what he's doing throughout this whole controversy, because Satan from the beginning wanted to show the world that his plan is better than God's. But God is showing to the world God's plan is the best plan and the only plan where you can be saved.
And wickedness cannot continue. God gave Lucifer and angels the choice. And even now they could turn. We know from the Bible that Lucifer is not going to turn. He's going to take as many with him as he can. But he's giving everybody an opportunity to turn, because it tells us he gives us free choice. If he had destroyed Lucifer and his angels, they would have said he wants people to worship him who are robots out of fear. So he wasn't going to do that, which is what was happening with these idols that they were worshipping. They were sacrificing their children out of fear, serving them out of fear. But God is a just God. And if you bring it back to when we were also talking about things that we're going through, we don't need to do anything. We put everything in God's hands and he will do the rest, because vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. We have people that we need to intercede for to bring back to Christ, and we have people interceding for us. But the importance of the lesson is what Hemson said. Do we want dispossession, where we're able to go to the kingdom of God, or annihilation? That is what we've got to think about. Thank you.
And I can see you're deeply, still deep in discussion, but we had to come to an end. And we thank you for your participation. Our special song this morning is the congregational